Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jewelsknits for Bamma. I'm Jules, and this is my podcast where I talk about all my knitting and crafting adventures. If you're new here, thanks for coming to check us out, and if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. Whew. And man, it has been a long time since I have recorded a podcast. There have been so many life things that have prevented me from doing it, and I'm just happy that I found some time today to just sit down and finally go through it. I have so much I have to show you guys. I think I have like 9 finished objects. And I look forward to chatting with everybody today. It is summer break. Both of my daughters are home. That's led to part of the not podcasting thing, is trying to figure out a routine where I could fit it in with both of the kids home. But one is upstairs playing in her room, and the other one is upstairs taking a nap. So hopefully I will be able to get through this. But if you hear noises in the background, I really apologize. I'm a mom. It's just how it goes around here. So without further ado, let's get into it and talk about finished objects. So my first finished object is the Gold Star sweater that I test knit for Maxim Sear, Max the Knitter. I absolutely loved the pattern. It flew off the needles because it's worsted weight. So when you're used to working with fingering weight a lot, it's really awesome when you have a worsted weight sweater to knit because it's so fast. I think I knit the entire yoke in like a matter of like 2 or 3 days, simply because of how addicting it is and how fast worsted weight goes. I absolutely love the pattern. There was nothing wrong with it. It was great. And I did this thing where I'm just gonna level with you guys. Like, I think I've spoken about it a little bit on previous podcasts. Before I had kids, I was very, very small, and now I'm a lot bigger than I used to be. And so sometimes when I pick a pattern, I will see what pattern size I'm supposed to do and go a pattern size up because I get worried about it not fitting. Most of the time that's okay, but this one I really should have picked the pattern size that corresponded with me. And the fit was right on for where it was supposed to be according to the pattern. It was just a little bit too big for me. But not to worry, because it fits my husband perfectly and it looks great on him. And so now he has a new hand knit sweater from me. So I'll put some pictures up here of him wearing it, but this is the sweater. It is finished. I absolutely love it. I love the little detail on the bottom. Like, that's one of the things I love most about his patterns, is that he always thinks of like the little details to put in. And they're just, like, literally, it was such an addicting pattern. When I first signed up to test knit this pattern, I was really excited. And then I got the pattern and I was a little bit worried because some of the spots are really long floats. And there's one section, not very long, maybe a couple of rows, where there's 3 color work, and that's not something I had really done before. But I mean, I think my floats look really good, and I'm really proud of myself for not being intimidated by it and doing it. And this will be a great sweater for me to like cuddle up in, because, you know, inevitably I will steal it from my husband sometimes, but I was just so pleased with how it fit him. So that's my big finished object. I think I was in the beginning stages of this the last time that I podcasted. I think I might have just barely split for the sleeves. I honestly, it's been so long, I don't quite remember. So my next finished object is a pair of socks. There's a lot of socks here. Is anyone else here participating in the summer sock camp by the Crazy Sock Lady? I do it every year as a way to get myself motivated to knit Christmas socks, because I knit Christmas presents for everybody in my family instead of buying. And so far I've only knit 2 pairs of socks that count towards summer sock camp, but I have knit a lot of socks since the last time I podcasted, and it is going to be the summer socks for me because right now I'm just really feeling them. So this is the first pair of finished socks that I have. This is Treehouse Knits in the colorway Luke's Diner, from her Gilmore Girl collection. I think she called it like the Stars Hollow collection. It was all based off Gilmore Girls. I'm not sure if my camera is good enough to pick it up, but I got it on the tweed base I absolutely love it. And I'm not really sure what the heels and toe are. It was just like a random scraps that I had left over from another project. I want to say they might be Cloudborne fibers maybe. But I made this for a friend for a Christmas present, and I absolutely adore them. And one of the things that's really hard for me is like knitting Christmas presents and then like wishing I had enough yarn to make myself a pair of socks out of that, because I mean, look at it. It's just, it's so beautiful. The lighting isn't the best in here, so I absolutely love this color. And the fact that it's a Gilmore Girl based color is all the more better. I don't know if I've ever shared this on the podcast. I'm a tad bit obsessed with Gilmore Girls. My dog is named Rory. But yeah, so I'm really excited to have those. I think I knit these in maybe a couple of days. So yeah, that's another finished object. My next finished object is this pair of shorties that I made. These are going to be for my niece as her Christmas present. Again, I'm not really sure what the heels, toe, and cuff is. I think it's left over from my gingerbread sweater, but I can't be quite sure. And then the main color is my leftovers from the skein of Bumbleberry Swirl that I got from Granite State Yarns. I loved that colorway so much that I had to make another pair of socks in it. And I love it. So that's for my niece. As far as patterns for kids, all I really do is, you know, she's 6, my daughter's 8. For them, what I do is I use the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla pattern, and I do the 56 stitch, which is the smallest size. And I just knit them short, and that's what I do. Sometimes I'll use the Tin Can Knits. I can't remember what their sock pattern is, but it has the garter ridge down the center of it like the flax does. And I just omit the garter ridge on those, but this one I used following the Crazy Sock Lady pattern. So that's that. My next finished object is this pair of socks that I made for my daughter for her Christmas present. So here they are. Again, same thing I did for my niece. The main color is Hocus Pocus from Gaddy Yarn Co. This is leftovers from a Halloween skein that I got last year. Hocus Pocus is my absolute favorite Halloween movie. And the heels and toe is a mini that I have from Granite State Yarns that I thought just kind of looked good because the mini that came with this set I used on my first pair of socks that I made with it. Is anyone else like a sucker for getting yarns that are named after like movies, or like I totally will get a yarn even if like the colors I'm not even really feeling. If it's like Gilmore Girl or like a band that I like or a reference that I like, I'll totally buy it just for the colorway name. But I thought this was just so pretty. Purples are my favorite colors, and it was Hocus Pocus theme, so I had to grab it. So this is my daughter's Christmas socks. So my brother-in-law is expecting a baby boy in August, and I'm super excited, so naturally I had to make him a baby sweater. And in my last podcast, I talked about this skein of yarn and not being sure if I wanted to do a pair of socks with it or if I wanted to do a baby sweater out of it. Most of the comments said baby sweater, so that's what I did. So I did the flax light. This is the sweater. It's the cutest little thing. We are a hunting family, so I just thought that the camo green and the orange was just like the best combination. And I just thought it was like perfect for a little boy being born into the family. It's the first grandson so far. There's 3 granddaughters and no grandsons. I did omit the garter ridge down the sleeve. Oh, my kids are running around upstairs. I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. I did omit the garter ridge in the sleeves. And I made the 0 to 6 month size. And I just love it. I love how fast baby sweaters knit up. They're super addicting. So that is that. I'm just gonna fold. Look how little it is when you fold it up. I just can't. I can't even, guys. Next up, I have another pair of socks. This is also Christmas socks. This is Knit Picks Terrarium. I'm sorry, this is Knit Picks Static in the colorway Terrarium. I do remember that. I remember that so well because I happened to be surfing on Knit Picks one night and they had a bunch of sock yarns that they were closing out on, and I ended up getting this for like $7 for 100 grams of it. I could not believe it. I'm not quite remembering what the heels and toe are, but I didn't even really look at the listing. I just saw that it was a good color and I bought it, and I was super surprised when I started knitting it up to see that it was self-patterning. So I thought that was so fun. They are sister socks, not twin socks, but that doesn't bother me at all. These are going to be for my brother-in-law, the one that's having a baby. And I really am obsessed with this. And again, this is another one of the ones that I wish I had more balls of this color because it's just like so pretty. And it's so fun that it did that with the patterning and the striping. So that is that. My next finished object is again another pair of socks. This is the Evergreen Glow colorway by Granite State Yarns. I'm super obsessed with this color. I think it's just like I'm obsessed with the way she dyed, because like these two yarns that I bought from her were kind of from like the same time frame, and just the way she dyed them is so beautiful to me. Like it's like tonal, but it's also variegated, but it's also got these pretty little flecks of like color. I honestly can't remember if I showed these socks on the podcast last time or not, but I figured I would just show them and show that they were done just in case I didn't. And if it's redundant, I apologize. So that is those. I absolutely love it. I mean, what would a Jewels Knit for Bamma podcast be without some Granite State yarns, honestly? But these, I don't know if I said, are for my father-in-law. Two more finished objects to get through. This is the last pair of socks that are finished objects, and they are a self-striping sock in the colorway My Land, My Rules from Area 51 Fibers, and then the mini that came with it. I made these for my husband because the My Land, My Rules was based off of Yellowstone, which is a show my husband and quite frankly I am also obsessed with. And again, they're sister socks, not twin socks. I would have made these twin socks, but what I was so excited that there was Yellowstone yarn that I totally didn't even look at the listing and didn't realize till I got it that it was a 50 gram skein and a mini, which is totally fine. That's on me. She sent it, considering it came from Canada, it was super quick to get here. So that was fine. My husband used to wear steel toe boots all the time, so tall socks were a must. But lately he's been wearing his sneakers a lot more, so I think these will be great for sneaker socks. And the colorway is just so beautiful. Like I really absolutely love the colors. Last FO requires a little bit of an explanation. Every year my family gets together and we all go apple picking in the fall. And it's become a little bit of a tradition that I knit apple picking sweaters for all the children in the family. This year our family has grown and we now have 4 children to knit for. And I was a little bit worried about being able to get 4 sweaters done. So I enlisted the help of my mother-in-law, who is also a knitter, and we split it up 2 and 2, so each of us have 2 sweaters to knit. And this year we decided that we would coordinate colors, so every kid has a different color, but also coordinate the pattern. So my 2 are going to be the antler sweater pattern, and her 2 are going to be the antler cardigan pattern, both by Tin Can Knits. And I've completed the first one. So this is the first apple picking sweater for 2022. It's cable at the top. The construction of this is a little bit interesting. It's you knit the sleeves first, then the body, and then the yoke, which I've only ever done once before. And it's not quite my favorite construction. I'm definitely like a top-down split for the sleeves kind of girl. But there are definite perks about doing this, which is that, I don't know about you guys, but I always have fun doing the fun stuff in the yoke and then splitting for the sleeves, and then I lose my mojo because it's just a bunch of plain vanilla knitting. But this, I literally knit in 48 hours. Number one, because it's worsted weight, I think, or was it DK? I can't remember now. But number two, because I was in a rush to get to the fun part. And also it's quite small because it's for a toddler. But it is very motivating to have the fun stuff at the end. So I think I might consider trying to find some more patterns to knit in the future that are like that, because maybe I'll get things done. Maybe I won't get so, like, I don't know how to say it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I won't do the thing where I split for the sleeves and then put it away for 2 months while I get bored with it. But yeah, so this is apple picking sweater number 1. And I'm absolutely in love with it. It's just so cute. So that is all my finished objects. Let me gather up all my WIPs and I will be right back to show you all of those. Okay, so let me show you my WIPs. My first WIP is living in my knitting sheet bag that my mother made me. And this is the very, very beginning of my second antler sweater. This is all I've got done so far on it. And I think this is, oh man, I don't know where the ball bands went. I want to say this is Cascade 220. I don't know the colorway. It's kind of a mustardy fall autumnal yellow. Absolutely love it. But this is as far as I've got, is the first sleeve. I cast this on the other day. I'm someone who, I don't necessarily knit a lot of patterns, like double, triple, you know, I like to flop around to patterns. So I knit the first antler cardigan. I mean, I didn't do the cardigan. My mother-in-law's doing the cardigans. I knit my first antler sweater, and I thought maybe if I just casted this on the second one that I wouldn't put it off, because I felt myself like putting it off, even though I absolutely love the pattern. And so I cast this on so that it's easier just to pick up and knit. And so far that's what I've got. This is going to be in the 6 to 8 year old size. This is for my niece. So I'm doing my niece and my younger daughter, and then my mother-in-law will be doing my oldest daughter's sweater and the new baby who has yet to arrive. My second WIP is living in my 31 bag. I'm absolutely in love with this bag for sweater patterns. It's so fun. And you may recognize this because I was knitting the Pink Fizz by Andrea Mowry out of this yarn. That was the second time I had attempted to knit that pattern, and there's nothing wrong with the pattern. I just, both times I got to the point where you, because it's bottom up, so I got to the point where you split, and I was just not feeling it. I didn't like the way it looked on me, and it's hard to really gauge how a bottom up sweater is going to look when it's finished. And it was just so much work, so I didn't want to like put more work into it, not knowing if I really thought it was gonna look good on me. It's a beautiful pattern. I have a friend who made one and it looks stunning on her. It was my second time trying it, and I think that pattern is just not for me. However, I did cast on another sweater out of it. This is the Whitmore sweater. So far, talk about getting through the fun part and then splitting for the sleeves. I got through the lace portion of the yoke and I split for the sleeves. I cannot remember the name of the designer of this to save my life, but what I'll do is I'll put it down below so that if you want to check it out, you can. And I apologize to the designer if you ever see this that I didn't remember your name. But it's a lace yoke sweater. I saw this and just immediately fell in love with it. It's kind of hard to see right now because obviously it hasn't been blocked yet, but it makes almost these like little, I don't know how to explain it. Can you guys see that? It's kind of bunched up on the needles. It makes like these little teardrop type things that get a little fatter as it goes down, and then it goes down onto the sleeve a little bit. And then it's just vanilla the rest of the way, but I just absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to see what it's like blocked. And for this, I'm using the Ella Rae mohair with the sparkle. It's like an acrylic mohair and I want to say stellina blend. And then I'm holding it double with fingering weight. I think it's Valley Yarn Huntington. And so yeah, that's the yarn I'm using for it. So maybe by the next time I podcast, this will be done, because at this point it's just vanilla knitting the rest of the way. But I'll definitely take this to Rhinebeck with me. So my last WIP that I'm currently working on, and that's not really in hibernation, is this sock that I'm working on in my Mountain State Stitches bag. Technically this is an acquisition, but you're going to see it now. I set myself an alarm. I got this on the summer sock camp update from the crazy sock lady. I set myself an alarm because I just knew how fast these would sell out, and I'm so glad I did, because I bought it like 4 minutes after the update, and when I went back an hour later because I thought I might like to get one of the other bags, they were all gone. So I am so happy that I was able to get my hands on these and that I actually caught an update once. So in it, I have one sock that's already finished. I just finished it this morning. It's a little shorty. And the other sock is just a baby. It's literally just a few rows of ribbing. When I finish socks, I like to weave in the ends and immediately cast on the other sock. Because I'm definitely someone who like procrastinates on doing the second sock if it's not cast on, but once it's cast on, I'm like, hey, I got no reason, and it's easy to just pick up and do wherever. So when I do, I don't know if I said this when any of my other shorties, but when I do shorties, I typically do 10 rows of ribbing, 10 rows of stockinette, and then go into the heel. I cannot remember the name of this main color. This is just leftovers from the Starflake shawl that I did for my daughter. I want to say it's like Fortaleza or something like that. I cannot quite remember though. And then the heel and toe are fuchsia, and these are both Malabrigo sock. Which I'm not really sure why they call it sock, because there's no nylon in it. It's 100% superwash merino. But I have been knitting socks out of Malabrigo sock for so many years, and I've never had a problem like wearing through or having any sort of issue that way. So I just keep doing it, and until it bites me, I guess I'll just keep doing it that way. So that is all I have for WIPs. As far as acquisitions, I'm pretty sure that I have acquisitions that I'm forgetting about, but I'm going to go and grab all the ones that I can think of that I haven't shown on the podcast yet, and I will be right back. I just realized that a lot of my acquisitions are things that I've already knit into something. So this is the My Land, My Rules socks from Area 51 Fibers. That was an acquisition, as well as the Luke's Diner socks from Treehouse Knits were also an acquisition. And the only thing that I have that's an acquisition that I haven't knit up, and that's because I got it in the post last night, is this tropical sock set with the mini is called Surf from Granite State Yarns. I'm absolutely in love with this colorway. I don't think I'm going to knit Christmas socks out of it. Here's her logo. I don't think I'm going to knit Christmas socks out of it. I think I'm going to save this and make socks for myself, because I saw her knitting a pair. I think she was doing her rail yard socks, which is a pattern that she just released. But don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it was her rail yard socks. And I saw her knitting it out of this colorway, and I just fell in love with this colorway, and I had to have it. And she was so sweet because she sent me a little tin, a little Granite State Yarns tin with a bunch of little light bulb stitch markers in it, which are my absolute favorite kind of stitch markers. I live and breathe for those kind of stitch markers. But yeah, so that's my only other acquisition. I do have one more thing that I want to show you guys, so I'm going to go grab it real quick. This is not really a knitting project, but it's knitting related, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast before in my knitting journal, where I just record all my projects. I started doing this year, and I finally got around to putting pictures in, so I just thought I'd show you guys a little bit of what I'm doing with it. So what I've been doing is, on one side of the page, I've been writing what it is, when I started it, when I finished it, what the pattern was, what I used for yarn, Guys, I just had a brain moment. I was worried because I couldn't remember what I used for things and how was I going to tell you what I used. And I literally have it written in my book. I need to go get some more sleep, apparently. Apparently life has been so crazy. My brain isn't functioning right now, but that's okay. Anyway, so what I use for yarn, and then like any information about it that I want to put. So for this one, I just wrote like made for Ella's first grade teacher, who was her teacher a couple years ago. We absolutely loved her, as a gift for her baby because she was pregnant and about to have a baby boy. And I'm so happy. I know I've shown this before, but I just thought it was so cool because I finally got around to, oh, see, like, this is the sweater on my husband. I finally got around to putting pictures into it. And then what I did is, like, anytime I have more information that I need to fill in that I don't have, like, this one I needed to write the yarn in that I used, but I didn't have it on me. So I just put a little sticky note in there to remind me to put the yarn in. And then, like this one obviously doesn't have a picture because I haven't finished it yet, but I need to go in and write frogged on it because that is the pink fizz and I'm not doing it. But I just, like, everything is got pictures now and I'm so excited. And the other cool thing that I did was not only am I writing like what my patterns are, but I'm trying to like put in knitting memories throughout the year. So like I put in a picture of me and Heidi and Corinne at the Connecticut Sheep and Wool, and one of me and Corinne. And like I put the picture of me with the boys from Needle at the Ready and my mother-in-law in there. And Heidi's probably going to be so angry at me for this, but I had a picture of her because she wanted to see if the yarn looked good with it. So I put in, does this yarn look good with my face? So just like little memories, like this one is a picture of the first time, the yarn that I did, and it was the first time that I applied my hand spun yarn, because sometimes I just mess around and knit with the drop spindle. I spin with a drop spindle. I'm not good at it, but sometimes I do mess around. And then like I put a picture of me and my husband at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool because that was the first time I had ever gotten him to go to a knitting thing with me. And oh my goodness, guys, I just realized that I did have one more FO that I didn't show you. And the reason that I forgot it is because I already gifted it. But I had gone to a, I can't remember who, Grateful Dead cover band that my husband's work friend invited us to at a brewery. And I was knitting a pair of socks there, and she asked if I would ever be interested in making a koozie. So I made her a koozie. I'll put it up in the corner up here. And I mean, that's the great thing. That's why this book is so amazing, because if you're someone like me who knits as much as I do, like, it's so amazing to like have those memories. Like, I don't know. And one of the things I really wish is, I've talked about it before on the podcast. The podcast is named Jewelsknits for Bamma because Bamma was my best friend, and she taught me how to knit, and that was something we really bonded over throughout my life. And I just wish I had something like this to like remember all the things that my Bamma had made. So I'm doing this in hopes that someday my girls will treasure it, but also like I'm not very good at keeping up with Ravelry. So on here it's great because I still have some sort of record. If I want to say, oh, I can't remember what I made that sweater out of, I can go, oh, I made it out of Barocco Vintage in the navy colorway. Like, it's just helpful too. So yeah, I just wanted to share the update on the fact that I finally went and got pictures put in for that. And from now on, I'm going to try and keep up with it instead of doing all the pictures at once because I think there was like 45 pictures or something that I had to put in. It took me like an hour to do. So I'm going to try and keep up with that from now on. So that is all I have for the nitty content today. If you want to stick around and hear about my life stuff, feel free. And if you were just here for the knitting, thank you for coming by, and I'll see you next time. As far as life stuff, it's been so long since I've podcasted. Like, I don't even know where to start. Summer break has happened. My daughter is now going to move into the 3rd grade, which makes me feel really old. Like, I know I'm not, but I was so young when I had her, and something about her graduating 2nd grade just really hit me. And I'm so proud of her for being so good in school, and I'm so excited that I have the summer to hang out with her and do some fun stuff. And she's really taken to trying to learn how to knit. So I think at some point she would like to come on the podcast and show us what she's done. And I think that would be fun. And I can't wait till she has something to show you guys. Honestly, I think part of the reason that I haven't podcasted lately is just because trying to get into the routine of being in the summertime and having everybody home and, all that stuff. But also I really haven't been in the best of the mental headspace lately. I definitely didn't lose my knitting mojo at all, but there's just been so much that's been happening that it's really just drained me mentally, and I'm just trying to kind of sort of work through that. And I finally got to a place, it was about, I think it was like 4 weeks. I finally was like, okay, I'm ready to podcast. Oh, my neighbor's loud truck is here. I'm sorry if you can hear that. I finally was in a place where I was like, okay, I'm ready to podcast. And then I had like a week and a half of maintenance men coming in and out of my house, fixing things. And then I got a very, very bad sinus infection that my daughter so wonderfully gifted to me. For her, it was just a cold, but for me, it turned into a sinus infection, and I ended up being out of work for a while, which honestly ended up being a really good thing because I love my job. Anyone who works in mental health knows that, like, it is such a rewarding job to be able to help people, but sometimes it is very, very hard for you mentally. It's really hard to help other people deal with their issues all day, and sometimes you just don't even feel like you have the brain capacity to deal with them yourself. So I think that, while it wasn't great that I was homesick with a sinus infection, I think it was really just the break I needed. And I went back to work, and I'm feeling energized, and I'm finally podcasting, and I think things are just kind of turning around for me, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to start enjoying the summer and enjoying the time with my girls and being just in a better mental headspace. Another exciting life thing that's happened is since the last podcast, I've become an auntie again. My sister had a beautiful baby girl named Helena. I thought it was so cute because my sister's name is Montana, so she named her daughter Helena because that's the capital of Montana. And it's a funny story because when she had my nephew Bentley, I kept calling him Benny when they were, like, even when they were still in the hospital, I was calling him Benny. And she would be like, no, his name is Bentley. Nobody's going to call him Benny. Why are you calling him Benny? And I was like, no, people are going to call him Benny. And now literally everybody calls him Benny. Even my sister, she calls him Benny. So when I found out the news about her having Helena, I was like, okay, so what is Auntie going to nickname this one? So I decided that I'm going to call her Lainey. And I'm curious to see if that nickname will catch on just like Benny's nickname caught on. But she's super cute. She's got the cutest little chubby cheeks. And obviously because of I'm not going to say it, but because of certain restrictions, I can't go to the hospital and see her. So I'm looking forward to them being able to come home and being able to go meet my niece, because she just had her like yesterday. Was it yesterday or was it the day before? I don't know. All my days are running together. It was yesterday. She just had her yesterday. So I'm really looking forward to going home and for them to go home, and so I can go meet her and take my daughters to meet her. As far as like movies and stuff, I've really been obsessed with the show Call the Midwife. I've made it through like 7 seasons in maybe 2 months. I'm really loving watching that, and it's a really good show. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. It's about obviously midwives in, I want to say like the 50s and the 60s, and it kind of goes through the years, and like you watch the fashions change, and you watch like the methods of, you know, childbirth, and like how that all changes through the show. And it's really cool. My mother-in-law suggested that I watch it, and I was like, yeah, that's not really my kind of show. But then I started watching it, and I just absolutely became addicted to it. Another show that I've been thinking about watching lately is Breaking Bad. I haven't started it again yet. I've watched it already, but I recently ordered some Breaking yarn, and I should have that by next podcast. It hasn't come in yet. I just did it like 2 days ago. But it got me to thinking like, oh, I really want to watch that again, because it's been years since the first time I watched it. So I think I might watch that show again here in the pretty near future. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've really been watching. I've watched a few like docu-series. I'm really big into like the docu-series where it's like 4 or 5 episodes on something. One big thing that has happened in recent weeks is we have started potty training my 2-year-old. She'll be 3 next month, but she finally started showing some signs of like wanting to do that. So we've been trying to do that. And it's been quite the experience for me the past couple of weeks trying to do that with her. My older daughter, we just decided one day we were going to put her in underwear and see what happened. And she wet herself once and didn't like the feeling and never did it again. So with my younger, having this be like more of a drawn out process, it's almost like the first time we're potty training, even though we've done it before, because we hardly had to do anything the first time. But I'm really excited that she seems to be like making improvements on that, and I am looking forward to the day when I do not have to buy diapers any longer. So my life has been pretty typical, run-of-the-mill, work, you know, take care of the kids. We had a few birthday parties in there that we did, and an anniversary cookout, but it's pretty much just been boring. I really look forward to the next couple weeks because I've got a lot of fun things coming up, and you know, it's summertime, so it's going to be a little more exciting now because it's nice out and we can go swimming and take the girls to do things and go for walks and, you know, all that stuff. I've been thinking about Lauren of Granite State Yarns started doing a walking sock where she has a sock that she's only knitting on when she's walking. And I've been thinking about joining in along on that. But I'm not quite sure because the way my work schedule is, I don't always get to go for walks. Because I work 12-hour shifts from like 7 in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night. So sometimes there's just not time in the day for me to do that. But I guess that's not really a reason to let it hinder me. I just don't go for walks those days. But I think it might be a really good motivator to get me to go out and walk more and, you know, do that sort of thing. So I think I might try that. Not really sure. And another thing that I've been thinking about is I said plenty of times before, I really, really do love my job. Um, and it brings me a lot of joy to see the people that I work with grow and transform in their journey. But more and more lately, I've been really wanting to be with my girls and missing being a stay-at-home mom. And I think I'm going to try and just, I mean, this will be a long process. It's not going to happen overnight. But I've been thinking about ways that I could make knitting my job, whether that be designing or trying to teach myself how to do project bags or stitch markers, or I'm not really sure what I could do, but I've been putting a lot of thought into what I could do to kind of try and start my own business at home, and eventually with the end goal of being able to work from home and be with my girls and do something that I mean, I love what I do, but I also love knitting, and I also love the knitting community, and if I can, maybe a change wouldn't be awful. So I don't really know where I'm going with that, but maybe something's on the horizon with that. I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, so we will see on that. But that's really all I have for you guys today. I am going to try to get back on the schedule of doing every other week. It might be a little bit harder now because, again, like I said, we're in summer, so typically I used to do podcasts when my younger one was sleeping and my older one was at school. But I'm really going to try and stay on track this time and not get off track, because it's quite overwhelming to have that many finished objects to show. And also, I feel like part of the fun of podcasts is to see someone's creativity as it's happening. And if I'm doing a podcast and then not doing one forever and all you're seeing is the finished object but not how we got there, I don't think that's necessarily the funnest thing to watch. So I am going to really work at being a better podcaster, and I think that's a great goal for me to have right now. So I'm really interested to see what's been going on in your guys' life. I know I didn't do sharing the fiber love today. I honestly didn't have time to think about what I was going to do for it, just because I decided to do this podcast on a whim. But I'm hoping to bring that back for the next episode, so look out for that. And I really would love to see what you guys are working on and how your life has been going. And I started hashtagging on Instagram. I started doing the hashtag, and I'll put it down here, Jewelsknitsforbamma. So I thought maybe it would be fun if, like, people who watch this, if you hashtag your Instagram post with Jewelsknitsforbamma, and then I can see what you guys are doing, and because I'm following the hashtag, so then I can see what you guys are doing. Because I think sometimes, it's interesting because you're talking to the screen and everyone's seeing what I'm doing, but I'm really interested to see what you guys are creating. And I think like the creative energy just goes around when you can see what other people are doing, and sometimes that gives you ideas, or I don't know. I really want this to be a community and not just one-sided. So definitely show me what you guys are working on. Tag me or use the hashtag or whatever it is you want to do. I also have the email. And I will see you next time. Until then, bye.